Inflation is clearly impacting consumer sentiment and growth is expected to moderate. You'd earlier said that, you'd earlier highlighted this, in fact. Does this really mean that we can expect pressure in the market share going forward?
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get you on the screen. I don't know why, maybe some technical glitch. But you said that Australia was experiencing inflation. On the other hand, our experience from Australia is that it's a good matured market. It is steady to levels which were before COVID, and the activity there is pretty buoyant, and that should be actually working well.
At that, I understand that your India market share is currently at 20-25%. Is there a chance of bettering that in the days to come?
So I think the prospects of improving the market share always take a little time, or a little more time to establish. In any case, these numbers are very pre-COVID because during those times, the regular market research has not been carried out. My belief is that the share should be above the 22% that you are mentioning. However, there is a survey going on currently, and we will get the exact numbers. But whatever we are doing and preparing for during these times, it should start delivering before the year ends, which is improvement in the showrooms, reaching out to consumers in their homes, making our presence on the e-commerce a little better than before, etc. So all this put together, we should have a higher share by the end of this year.
Good morning. So just to get a little sense also with what's happening in Europe, the largest story that's taking place, not looking like it's going to be a soft landing for the European economy, the ugly R word for recession. What will be the impact of all of that on your company?
So impact is pretty much similar to what's happening to the other parts of the economy. Europe is definitely in quite a bit of a distress at this time. People are fearing for not only the oil and gas prices, which have already increased, which means higher transportation costs and higher manufacturing costs for most of our raw materials, but they are waiting for the winter to come. And the consumption during winter is almost about 35-40% more than the regular or than the summer. And we will get a clear picture of this only after the first winter is over. However, as far as Sheela Foam or its subsidiary is concerned, we are a very small speck in the entire size of the market, and we are doing our bit to ensure that we don't lose out on the top line. But the market and obviously increase the market share. But that will take also another 3 to 4 months before we see any impacts on that.
You started off by this interview by saying that your experience now is that prices have started to come down when you talk about inflation. You also stated very clearly that previous initiatives that have taken, whether it's on the digital front and others, will start to pay off and give dividends towards the latter half of this year. Simultaneously, we've also seen an expansion of your margins, 220 basis points. Can you juxtapose all of this for us? And when you talk about increased market share, what should the street be penciling in when it comes for margins? Are you going to be able to sustain this? Can this be expanded?
So some of the margins that you mentioned, or the top line that you mentioned, is also on a different base altogether. You know, the Q1 of last year was definitely hugely impacted by COVID, and therefore we are looking at in comparison to that. However, the question on margin as we go along, I see that improving because the raw material prices are coming down. Of course, still fluctuating, still on the high side, but are slowly coming down because the demand in the whole world is kind of coming down. So I see that getting into double digits for sure.
Mr. Gautam, for joining in and giving us a view on your overall margins as well as the growth trajectory for Sheela Foam.